Hey guys, it's Jalen. I'm here today with another writing video. So today I'm just doing a little writing update. I didn't really have it on my radar to do a writing update anytime soon. To be honest, I kind of wanted to wait until I had a bigger announcement. Okay, I sold the book. But I had a moment to film today, and I really know that I haven't been posting on this channel. It's been a really busy few months for me, and I just have nothing scripted, and I haven't really had a lot of chances to film things. I had a chance to film today, so I thought I would just do something that I can film without any prep, and that's a little writing update since I actually haven't done one in a while. So I thought I would start by talking about my novels and like submission publishing stuff, since I feel like that's stuff that you guys are really curious about. I'm not gonna go too in depth on this. I am vlogging the process, so someday hopefully that vlog will see the light of day and you'll know everything that went on behind the scenes. Right now I'm filming this late January. I do have a book on submission, which is very exciting because there have been a few points that me and my agent wanted to go out on submission last year, and then we weren't able to. Tried to go out on sub in the summer, and I think I said in a video that I was going out on, the book was out on sub, but we weren't actually able to go out on sub then. Kind of a similar thing happened in the fall where we tried to go out on sub. Editors were basically just not answering, and so we had to hold off until January. But I'm very excited to say that I do have a book out on sub right now, and I'm not really going to be talking about it that much more. I am really excited about it, and I do feel really good about it. I'm done both Holding a Ghost and Honey Vinegar. Both of them are wrapped and they are submission ready or on sub. One of them is on sub right now. I delivered Holding a Ghost to my agent earlier, like in the summer, and then kind of expected to do some edits with her, but she was like, it's kind of perfect. Doesn't really need anything except for one really small addition. So both those books are done. Had this with Honey Vinegar, and now we have it with Holding a Ghost, where I can say that there's really nothing to say about this until the book sells. I'm not working on either of these books right now actively, and I won't be until they sell, and I'm working on them with an editor. Hoping for the best. I'm hoping this bears fruit. Anyways, that's to say those books are done, and it feels really great to have two novels wrapped and done, and that kind of brings me to the main thing that I've been working on over the past few months, which is my third novel, which is called The Animal Sense. I've talked about this a few times, but this is the novel that used to be known as Saltbirds, and I changed the title to The Animal Sense, which I personally like a lot more, and it was a completely necessary title change because I had a whole motif planned for this title. It's gonna be a whole metaphor, and it just didn't pan out. It just didn't have the meaning that I wanted it to. And then the subplot, or like the plot thread that motif came from, I ended up cutting from the book, so I had to change the title. Came across that phrase, The Animal Sense, just when I was reading over the book. It stood out to me. It was in a paragraph. I kind of realized that it was such a perfect title for this book, and I think it clues in much better to the central ideas and dynamics that the book is exploring. I'm really vibing with that title a lot more than I was with Saltbirds, actually. It just feels right, and it's also not my initials, which I didn't like. I've been working on this book quite a lot. I feel like I've been editing this book for a million years. I started doing draft 3 of the book in September. That was kind of like my big developmental edit. I really did do a lot of really great work on the book. I feel like I made some significant progress, but I also didn't feel that the draft was as impactful as I would have liked, in the sense that there was just still a lot that felt messy. It just wasn't working. So as I finished that draft, I realized some other big edits that I needed to make. So I'm currently doing another draft of developmental edits where I'm really trying to hone in on some other large but lingering developmental changes. And I think after this draft, which has also illuminated some more big changes, I think it's going to need another draft to smooth everything over, and then I think it's going to need to go out for feedback. I think editing this book has been quite puzzling. The nature of this book is it's very relationship driven, it's very character driven. It's probably the most purely character driven novel I've ever written. You know, obviously all my novels are character driven. That's just the type of writer I am, as I write character driven work. But, you know, even comparing to my last two books, Honey Vinegar still had like a significant and pretty high intensity plot backing up the character study, and Holding a Ghost, it was very form driven. Whereas this book really feels like the most purely character driven. It's just like a pure character study. There's really nothing else to hide behind. There's nothing experimental. There's no real high concept plot. It's just people interacting in a situation, and the story is the relationships and what these relationships say about the characters. And so it really feels like there's nothing to hide behind, and it's quite a challenge that I'm really enjoying. I think it means that it requires a lot of very nuanced editing, because you're not fixing the plot, you're not fixing the structure, you're trying to hone, or by you I mean me, trying to hone in on these very weird, subtle, messy nuances of these characters. And I think what's tricky is that these are very messy characters and very messy relationships, but I'm trying to then articulate them in a way that is clear and comprehensible. And I feel like that just needs a lot of molding. And it's not to say that I think the book is bad or the draft is bad. I just think the nature of the book requires a lot of, it's the kind of book, it requires a lot of molding. It's like a very delicate edit, I feel like, because it's so character driven. And these characters are so messy and so complicated that it's tricky to then take all that messiness and align it in the comprehensible kind of neatness that a novel also requires without then shutting out all that messiness. So that's kind of where I'm at with that book. I do feel like I am making really good progress with the book, and I'm getting it closer to my vision, which is really exciting. Is it at my vision yet? No. And I think it's going to need this draft one more and quite a lot of feedback before I can get it there, to be honest. I just feel like it requires so much maneuvering, and it's so delicate and detail-oriented. Happy with a lot of what's in that book. I think a lot of it just isn't expressing what I needed to express quite yet, but it's going to get there. So other than that, I've also been gearing up to start my next first draft. I am waiting to get this book ready to go out for feedback. That's when I'm going to start writing another book. I cannot wait. My next project, I've talked about this before, is going to be a fantasy project. I'm not going to reveal the title, but the acronym is TBOE, so I'm just going to call it TBO. I'm very, very excited. I started planning this right at the end of 2022, so I spent all of 2023 planning it. I actually have an outline, but I do have the events laid out in a 5-part arc. There's certain aspects of the plot that required me to outline them. Not because it's fantasy, but because there are like heists, or not really heists, schemes, heists kind of a thing happening. And that's not really a natural thing for me to write. I'm not a heist expert, scheme, con expert. So I really struggled with this book that kind of has these two conflicting, like these two characters are basically trying to scam each other. Because there were these kind of two interweaving schemes, I felt that needed to be laid out beforehand, because I just know, even as someone who likes to discovery write, I know my weaknesses, and I know that I'm not going to be able to discovery write two interlocking schemes. It's just not how my brain works, like I could really effectively discovery write my literary fiction novels because they're just character and relationship based. That kind of stuff I think is organic, and I want to just let it emerge and evolve naturally, and that's I think what makes it feel the most human and organic and real. So I'm hoping with this book that I can kind of discovery write those aspects, but I have this foundation of the plot and these schemes that are the foundation of the plot laid out for me. Of course, a lot of the world building that goes along with it. So I'm kind of like half discovery writing it and half plotting it. That's my big philosophy with writing process, is just always do what you need in the moment. Even though I've been a discovery writer for the past few books, I think it's always important to do what your project needs. And this project, I think I just had some different requirements. I'm very excited to start writing this. I just want to get the animal sense out for feedback, because then I feel like it'll be at a late stage of editing. And also, there won't be a rush for the people reading it, because I'll have a first draft to sink my teeth into. Because it is partially outlined, I actually am hoping to fast draft it, more so than with my past few books. I would like to see, not fast draft, but for me, it's in 5 parts, and so I would maybe like to see like 1 part a month until it's done. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at with novels. Short stories, I've been kind of trying to get back into short stories. I have a new workshop group, and we've been meeting really, really regularly, like monthly, and so that's been really great, and it's gotten me to complete 2 short stories. So the first one is called Junk Garden, and I have had this idea floating around since like summer of 2022, and I just never did anything with it. I have talked about this. I've been struggling more with short fiction. I feel like I can't get the ball rolling with short stories the way that I used to, and so with this short story, it is about a woman who deals very badly with her first breakup, serious breakup. So she rows out into the middle of the ocean and strands herself on an island covered in garbage. The inspiration for this is I was playing GeoGuessr one day. I landed on an island. I remember it's Henderson Island. I think it's in the Pitcairn Islands. And so I was curious, so I looked it up, and it's an island called Henderson Island. It's really small. It's like 8 square kilometers or something. But because of where it sits in the tides, it's covered in garbage. Like, the world's garbage gets brought to this island. And I thought, what a great place to go after a terrible lesbian breakup. I had a great workshop, and I feel like I was really struggling. I was struggling with the first draft. I just felt like it was underwhelming. I kind of knew the problems, but no idea how to fix them. So I had a really, really helpful workshop, which was fantastic. And I think what I needed to do to fix the story really clicked. I actually want to put the story in Pareidolia because I think the type of character, the main character, fits much better in that collection. Thanks to having workshops motivate me, I actually wrote another story that I've been working on for so long. It's called You Are Contractually Obligated to Withstand Violence. I've been trying to write this story for like a year, and I couldn't get past the first page. So this is a story about a former stock image model who is slowly being driven to insanity because everywhere she goes, she sees her own face, and like she's in all these bizarre advertisements, and they're just like tormenting her. It's definitely one of the more like topic-y stories I've written. It's very much about like social media and labor, and like what do labor rights look like in like a social media or even AI context. It was really fun, and I had a lot of fun with that one, and a great workshop for that as well. So I have 2 stories now to edit, and I need to sit down and edit them. I just have been focused on the animal sensor vision. And then finally, as a little publication update, I had 2 poems come out last year, actually. The first one was called How to Gut a Fish When You Are a Fish, and that came out in Augur. I think I may have touched on this in my last writing update, but the issue wasn't actually out yet. But the issue is out, so that poem is about like a cyborg fish girl. It's pretty fun. Eventually that poem will be available to read online, but right now it's only available in the issue. If it's online by the time this video goes out, that'll be in my Linktree. I don't know. Wherever the link in my Linktree takes you is where you can read it. If it takes you to the issue to purchase, you can only read it in the issue, and if it takes you to the online page, then it's online. And then I had another poem come out in Vagabond City Lit. It's called My Gender as a List of Things I Don't Understand. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a list, and it's about gender. It's in their, I think it's their 10th anniversary issue for all previous contributors. I'm really proud of that poem. It's one of the ones that I wrote at the end of 2022 that I thought was, at the time, one of the best poems I'd written. I had 2 short stories come out. Okay, here we go. I had one come out in Filling Station, and it's in issue 81, which I just realized the issue is called Some Kind of Dopamine Hit, which I didn't even know, but that's cool. It's called I'm a Wolf in Wolf's Clothing. It's about a girl who learns that her father is a serial killer, and it's about them on the run together. And then I also had a short story come out in Mudroom. This is probably the publication from last year that I'm the most proud of. This one is just free to read online, so you don't have to purchase an issue. It's called You Know Where Your Body Is Buried. It is one of my favorite short stories I've ever written. It's probably like one of the top 3, I think, stories of mine, in my opinion, in terms of how proud I am of them. And it's about a woman who realizes that a missing girl looks startlingly like her, and so she decides to impersonate her to her family and kind of steal the life that this girl could have had. And that is really all for this little writing update. One of my favorite parts of doing writing updates is hearing from you guys and hearing what you are working on. What are your writing plans, successes, struggles, anything that you want to share. I really love hearing about it. It is like my favorite part of posting writing updates, is then just hearing about what you guys are working on. So I think that's pretty much everything that I've been working on at the moment. It's really just been a lot of the animal sense. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.